Welcome to the Tokenized Economy. Here is today's explainer on the CSD model of tokenization. Now, this is the approach that's bridging the gap between traditional finance and the new world of blockchain. It's all about getting the best of both worlds. So let's jump right in. To really wrap our heads around how this model works, we've got to start with a cornerstone of the traditional financial markets. And that, my friends, is the CSD. So what exactly is a CSD? Well, it stands for Central Securities Depository. The easiest way to think about it is as the master ledger for finance. It's the core infrastructure where the legal ownership of things like stocks and bonds is officially recorded. It is the ultimate source of truth. And here is the absolute key to this entire model. The CSD doesn't go away. Not at all. It remains the primary authoritative record of who owns what. Tokenization is just introduced as this new, high-tech layer right on top of that system we already know and trust. Okay, that's the theory. But how does this stuff actually work in practice? Let's break down the process step by step and see how it all comes together. So let's imagine there's a broker, right? They're a participant in the DTC. That's the Depository Trust Company here in the US. They're holding a bunch of securities and decide, hey, I want to tokenize some of these to get all those cool blockchain benefits. Here's the playbook. First, those securities get moved into a special digital omnibus account. Now, this account still lives inside the CSD, but it basically earmarks those assets for tokenization. Then, for every security in that account, a token is created on a blockchain. It's a strict 1-to-1 ratio. Those brand new tokens are then sent to the broker's registered digital wallet. And from there, the tokens can be transferred on-chain, but, and this is important, only between other approved wallets. This brings us to a really crucial legal point. When you're holding one of these tokens, what do you actually have? Is it direct ownership? Well, the answer is a little more nuanced than you might think. So here's the deal, and this is so important to get right. The token itself is not a brand new legal security. Instead, what it represents is a security entitlement. You can think of that as a claim or right to the underlying security that's still sitting safely back at the CSD. And this just hammers home the central idea of this whole model. Legal ownership never actually moves onto the blockchain. It stays firmly anchored to the CSD, that original source of truth we talked about. Okay, that all makes sense. But what if you want to go the other way? How do you get your traditional securities back out of this tokenized form? What's the escape hatch? The process is actually pretty straightforward. The token is burned, which is just blockchain speak for being permanently destroyed and removed from circulation. As soon as that happens, the underlying securities are credited from that digital account right back into the broker's traditional account within the CSD. Simple as that. Of course, none of this happens in a vacuum. There's a whole ecosystem of technology and global players that's growing to support this model, and it's all built with critical controls in mind. Let's take a look. We're seeing real-world systems being built out right now. For instance, you've got platforms like LedgerScan that are acting as a new kind of books and records layer, letting people track their tokenized assets. And this is a global thing. Over in Europe, you have huge players like Euroclear and Clearstream, who are also building out their own platforms for digital issuance and management. And I can't stress this enough, this is not the Wild West. Controls are an absolutely critical part of this system. Transfers are usually restricted, so they can only happen between approved or allow-listed wallets. This makes sure that all the necessary regulatory and compliance rules are being met just like they are in the traditional markets. So after looking at all these different pieces, what is the one big idea you should walk away with? Let's boil it all down to the core principle. It all comes down to this one powerful phrase, tokenization without disintermediation. See, the goal here isn't to replace the existing financial institutions. It's to enhance them. The CSD, the brokers, they all stay right at the center of the process. So what's the point? What value does blockchain really add here? Well, it introduces this incredibly powerful new layer that gives us three key things. Much faster movement of assets, way better visibility into those assets, and totally new kinds of programmability, which opens the door for cool things like automated settlement. Make sure you subscribe for more short explainers on blockchain, tokenization, and financial markets. And hey, be sure to share your questions or any topics you'd like us to cover down in the comments below. Thanks for watching.